So, welcome to Mindful Mondays. That's better. If you are here and you've arrived, we'll sit for 2 or 3 minutes with eyes closed and silent meditation and just allow everybody to gather and get seated. So once you feel settled in your posture, eyes can be closed or they can be opened and kind of looking downward a few feet in front of you. So just 2 or 3 minutes, quiet meditation, really just with the intention of gathering ourselves and then landing today. Okay, friends, go ahead and flutter your eyes open. It's so good to be with you this evening. I was thinking today as I was preparing for this evening, just how much this anchors me and grounds me, as well as you, from receiving the teaching. Me showing up here with you is just as effective and powerful for my own state of mind. And so I just wanted to begin by saying thank you for being here and for being receptive to this practice. So it's been a couple weeks since we met. It's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And when we left off last time, we were talking about the practice of rain. And so we'll continue that practice this evening. And some of you have been here the whole time. Some of you, this is your first night tonight. And so don't worry if you don't know all the terms yet. You'll pick it up as we go. So the practice of rain means recognize, allow, investigate, and then nurture. And as a reminder, if you were here for that lesson, or this is new, if this is your first night with us, that rain creates what we like to call a clearing in our lives. It creates a clearing in the mind. It helps us unstick those places inside that we might feel emotionally stuck, energetically stagnant, and it helps us really untangle emotional suffering. We are often in a trance. We are often in what we like to call in practice a trance, and that trance could be a trance of unworthiness. That trance could be a trance of self-doubt. It could be a trance of judgment. You kind of see where I'm going with this. And when I say trance, I just mean all the things that get us lost in our mind. A trance is the rumination. The trance is that feeling of being in some virtual reality, like body and brain are here, like I'm in this room, but I might be in some other land entirely in my mind. Trance is what we call being stuck in the head, right? And just as a reminder, rumination isn't bad. Like, we're not supposed to be totally focused all the time. If we were focused 100% of the time, present 100% of the time, we would be exhausted. And so built into the structures of the brain is this ability to wander mentally and to daydream. It's really an energy conservation technique. What happens, however, is especially in this day and age, we are mind wandering more than we're present. We are ruminating more than we are present. And when we're wandering and ruminating more than not, that's when we get into the weeds, we could say. That's when we start to really get stuck in this dense forest. And so it's mindfulness practice that can help us create a clearing, as Martha Postlewaite likes to say, in the dense forest of our lives. I just love that very visual metaphor of things opening up for us through the practice. So as we continue with rain today, remember that rain is like taking a U-turn. It's taking a U-turn. It's being in a place, feeling emotionally stuck or energetically or mentally kind of stagnant, an inability to move forward, really triggered, really hooked. And rain is turning back around, like going the other direction. Because usually when we're in that place of feeling really stuck and emotionally stagnant, there's some blame in that neighborhood. There's some blame of somebody else. There's some judgment of somebody else, right? Those very human things we do. And fine, we do that. We blame and we judge as humans. However, in blaming and judging, there isn't any healing. There isn't any inner resolution for ourselves. And that experience, instead of getting digested and moving through, instead gets deflected and stuck inside of us. And so we work with what we feel through the practice. Because I think repetition is really key to learning. Those of you that practice yoga with me know that. And because some of you are new today, I'd like to revisit a few examples of other ways that we get stuck in the trance. So the trance is being caught or possessed by emotion. Whereas presence is being in a place where our emotions are being witnessed mindfully. Trance could be a defended heart or a numb heart, like really something happens and it closes us off. That wall is an example of being in a trance, and presence is instead a tender heart, a caring heart, an open heart. Trance is resisting an experience, or the other side of that coin is grasping to an experience we don't want to let go of. Whereas presence is being balanced in an experience, discerning or open. So a little more detailed examples is overwhelmed. I was feeling overwhelmed today, just with the state of the world and not having much sleep last night. I went to a concert with my husband and it was so fun last night. But, I stayed up past my bedtime. And so today I was stuck a lot in the trance of unworthiness because I was just tired. We know better not to believe our thoughts when we're tired. I just need to be reminded, just like you. Another example of trance is listening to someone. Like you appear to be giving them your full attention. However, your mind is like on what your snack is going to be or when you're going to get your latte, or your mind is planning something else. That's a trance. Being in a trance is losing an hour on your computer, losing an hour online. Like you look up and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've been on Instagram for 45 minutes. Trance. Trance is also comparing, being online or even being at a gym or yoga studio or just walking around comparing your body to somebody else's. That's all trance and all very human things that we all do. And so it's important with trance to not at all judge ourselves or shame ourselves, but instead the moment of mindfulness is pausing when we've noticed we've entered trance and saying, how human of me. How completely normal and human of me, right? So those are all examples of trance, and I wonder if you have one right now that you can take a moment and think of. I'm going to connect my computer to power. Gosh. But as I get my power cord, I want you to think of one concrete example for you, because this is how we make this practice real. When are you in trance? So really, this practice is learning to create these little clearings in our lives all day when needed. And it's through these clearings that we actually receive life. Creating a clearing gives us life. Mindfulness practice really allows us to withdraw our energy from the things that are reactions. And instead, it invites us to pause. It invites us to skillfully respond to life in a way that isn't damaging ourselves or somebody else, in a way that isn't depleting our energy. Think about the last time that you had your same old habitual reaction to something and how much energy that spent of yours. How much energy it took to have that reaction, to then feel how you felt about it after, to perhaps have to mend whatever happened, whether it's through an apology or through a conversation. When the clearing that mindfulness practice creates allows us to respond in a way where none of that has to happen. In that moment, we have officially conserved our precious time, our precious life force, our precious energy that once spent, we really don't get back, right? So I see it too as a way of mediating time. Every time we weather the storm of inner distress through this practice, we are literally reprogramming our minds. We are rewiring our brains toward stability, toward well-being, toward confidence, toward homeostasis even in the body. There's a metaphor I love about this practice because I think maybe not, you have had this thought that, okay, I do meditation once, I work through something really challenging through rain practice, through mindfulness practice, and then I'm done, right? I've done a lot of good work in that meditation and I'm good. Now on to the next thing. However, it's much more subtle and slow than an instant fix. And I think this is often why people might come to meditation practice and give up so quickly. There's a lot of reasons why people give up, but one is that we want to take the pill, we want to buy the thing, we want to do whatever we need to do to just get on with our healing. And this practice is just much slower than that. And so here's the metaphor. So imagine how a piece of cloth becomes dyed indigo. If you've ever been to India or I know they do this elsewhere, and watched somebody dyeing cloth indigo, there's a vat of dye. There's a big vat of dye, and you take this white cloth and you dip it in, and then you pull it back out. And it starts out being this brilliant indigo blue color. But then it fades, and then it's just a little bit off-white, actually. So you do it again. You dip it in and you pull it up, and again, it's this brilliant color at first, but then it fades, but it doesn't fade as much. It fades, but not as much as the first time. So you get the idea. Each time you dip it in, it holds the dye a little bit more until it becomes saturated and infused with this really vibrant color. And so it is that the more we practice, the more we realize that the practice is still in us each time. Each time we revisit, we've got a new baseline that we're working with. And so it stacks and it builds so that over time we have this vibrant light that we're working with, this vibrant color, if we want to use that metaphor. So let's revisit the practice of rain again today. We'll just keep going with it. As we begin, one thing I want to start to make really obvious for you is that with rain, this is our formal practice, right? We're recognizing an emotion, we're allowing it instead of pushing it away. We'll start to investigate where we feel it in the body. And then the N, which we haven't gotten to yet, is how we can care for ourselves, what we need in that moment, how we nurture. We sit here formally and do this, but over time, you want to get to a place where you can do it on the fly. So maybe you're in a class, or you're in a store, or you're in a conversation with a loved one, and somehow the conversation all of a sudden turns, takes a different direction, challenging. You can, in the moment, run through the steps of rain within a second. Recognize how you feel, allow how you feel instead of reacting. Notice where you feel it in your body, and then give yourself some love. Okay, so we start to take this off the cushion into life. So find any adjustments in your body that you need to take. Get comfortable, dignified, upright. And on your next exhale, I invite you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And to begin this evening, we'll just tune in to sound. Tune into sound as a way of really just welcoming ourselves to the environment that we're in, broadening our awareness to our surroundings. And you can notice if sound is close. Can you hear sound a little farther away? And although sound might seem like a strange anchor to begin with for your attention, notice how it turns your mind away from inner thought, inner thinking, rumination, and it turns your mind toward something more broad. Even though sound feels transitory, you're anchoring into that sense. Now take a few full breaths. 3 or 4 nice full breaths in through nose and out through mouth. And now, please bring to mind a current situation in which you feel emotionally stuck. One that elicits a difficult reaction, but I encourage you not to go toward the hardest thing right now. But one that elicits a difficult reaction such as fear or anger, shame, or hopelessness. This could be situation with a family member, a coworker. It could be your general felt sense of the world. And take a moment to enter the experience visualizing the situation, perhaps remembering words spoken. Here we're really contacting the charged essence of the story as our starting place for rain. And so the question as you reflect on the situation for R, recognize is, what is happening inside of me right now? What emotion am I feeling? Or is it more that my mind is just filled with incessant thinking? Take this moment to be aware of whatever it is that's predominant. As we move to the A is to allow life to be just as it is. And so we send a message here to the heart to just let be. Find in yourself the willingness to pause and accept that in these moments, what is. And for A, the question is, can I be with this? Can I be with what's happening? And it's not a rhetorical question. Because if the answer is yes, then you stay with what's happening. But if the answer is no, you choose a different practice. If the answer is no, perhaps you get up and choose walking meditation instead. Or you choose meditation on sound instead. Some things we just can't be with, and that's okay. But if you can stay with what's happening, a mental phrase could be, of course, this hurts. Let me be with it. Anger feels like this. This is how it is right now. I'd like to remind you this A of allowing isn't condoning anything. It's not agreeing that you agree with anything. It's not pushing away your feeling about it. It has nothing to do with the details of what happened. And everything to do with your own experience. And as we move to I, the I of rain is investigating with a gentle and curious attention. Being interested in your experience. In this I, we have a lot of freedom to investigate this. And I'll share with you a few ways, but a really important note is that investigate doesn't mean analyze. Investigate just means awakening to our somatic experience, our somatic awareness. What are the feelings like Are they hot? Are they cold? Is my jaw clenched? Is my body tight? Do I feel this thing in my chest and in my belly? That's the investigation. The investigation could be, what is the most difficult thing I am believing right now? How am I relating to what is happening? Notice as you discover how you're relating to what's happening, is there a sense of relieving the pressure a little bit? Has the pressure lightened or released around the situation? And then as we move to N, nurture, this is where we call upon the most wise and compassionate part of ourselves to see if we can discern what's needed. Maybe you need to place your own hand on your own heart, and it could be as simple as telling yourself, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Really, the question is, how do I care for this distress that I'm feeling? What might relieve me from this distress? I've heard this N of nurture referred to as self-cooing, like you coo to a baby. You could say, I love you, we are safe, as you talk to yourself, I forgive you. Or maybe you don't even take it inner, you instead imagine yourself in a larger field of kindness with imagery, in a wide open mountain field, the vastness of the sky, the coolness of a still pond. You could tap into that ever-giving essence of the natural world. There's no right or wrong way to bring in this nurturing, and if it feels hard for you to come up with something, that's okay. This is new. Oftentimes, the hardest person to nurture is ourselves, and you may have never asked this of yourself before. And so let it be awkward and kind of weird if it is, or maybe for you it was really easy and you could connect to it. Just don't judge the experience. And so begin to take a few slightly deeper breaths. I'm going to close with a paragraph from a book called Mindful of Race by Ruth King. When we are at war or struggle against the energy of our emotions, our minds are zoomed in like a highly focused camera. We are one with the agitation, boiling and tight in the body. When we zoom in, something is always left out of view. To befriend or nurture our disturbances is to zoom out, to open and allow awareness to be known through a broader lens. As you open your eyes, just look around the room and check out your environment. Move your head side to side. It just helps you broaden that awareness of your experience. And then come back to center. Take one more deep breath in, hands to prayer. And as you exhale, bring your thumbs to your forehead. I send you all the love tonight. And I send you all the gratitude. Thank you so much for being here.